Hello, innovators. I'm Todd and welcome to the Bridging the Gap podcast presented by Applied Software Great Tech Group. You're invited to join our conversation to model the future of construction innovation and the digital transformation adventure of this great industry. My guest today is Aad Storm, the CEO of Eveon Containers. He has a strong background in developing strategic vision and inspiring people with that vision. They are the leading global supplier of used shipping containers, pioneering sustainable and responsible solutions with digital innovation. Welcome to the show, Aad.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me, Todd.
Yeah, looking forward to it for sure. So I always like to get kind of the people's backstory to start. How'd you get into this space?
Yeah. It's actually, if about 10, 15 years ago, you would have told me I would be ending up in containers, I would have laughed and not believed it. But I've been working as a consultant, strategy consultant, and I got an assignment for a startup that developed collapsible containers. So you can fold them up and put four in the space of one and return them in a more efficient way. So that's where I first got into containers, and I found it quite interesting. And one of the shareholders in that company was an owner of a large container trading company, and I got to know him, and I ended up being on the board of that company. And I've been working a lot in the US as well for an office that was in Boston. And I found my way around in the business. Then after some time, I felt that there's so much more room for innovation, and that it would be a good idea to start something totally new myself. And so at that point, I resigned at that company in a good way, because this was a direction that they were not heading towards. And I started my own company. That was in 2020. And just as we finished the business plan and started up the company and started developing all the IT architecture, COVID hit. So that was kind of unexpected, to be honest. We launched in Germany. Our headquarters are based in the Netherlands. And then in 2021, we launched in the US. We also formed a local entity, Eveon Containers Inc., opened an office in Charleston. And we have been growing since, also now in Canada, and we're going to roll out to more countries. So this is a bit about the background.
Yeah, I'm always fascinated with companies that launched in early 2020. That was obviously a crazy year worldwide, and there's so much change, and having to be agile on your feet.
Oh yeah.
In addition to having to be agile with a startup, what was that journey like for you that year?
Yeah. It was actually, if you, I think many people know that the container business was also hit in a big way by COVID. And it started when Chinese ports started shutting down, and there were blank sailing. So that's where container ships are starting to skip ports. And basically the whole system, the whole flow of containers on a global scale got kind of disrupted in a big way. And it led to shortages of containers. So actually the country we had chosen to launch in, Germany, also faced shortages. And for quite some time, we were able to get good supply. But one of the, launching in the US, it was always on our list. Also, given my background, working a lot with American teams and American customers in the past. But we decided to go into the US market sooner, much sooner than planned. One of the reasons being that if you look at the US, more containers go in than come out. So there's more imports than exports. So it's always been an area where container availability was still, was good. So we decided to go into that market sooner. But then I was faced with things like, we were not allowed to travel into the US as Europeans for quite some time. And I wrote a plea to the US Embassy explaining how important containers are and container supply is for the economy. And I was granted access as an exception. So I was luckily able to travel and find trucking partners and other partners for a company to work with. So it's required a lot of improvisation and being really agile. But we made things work, luckily. Yeah.
That's awesome. One of the things that I find really cool in Interesting about your company's story is the sustainability side. Can you share the story of when and
Yeah.
kind of why you decided to really prioritize sustainability?
Yeah, yeah. Now, when we launched, we were launching just as a regular trader in the sense that we offered choice of used containers and new containers, or one trips as you call it. So that felt like normal, and we started selling new containers in Germany. And I hired a guy I knew from before. He's our marketing manager right now, but also has a lot of affinity with sustainability. It is Tim Simons. And I asked Tim to also look into the sustainability part, to make a footprint analysis. So we found some really good consultants, and well, they did their work. And then from that analysis, it became clear that just a few thousand of new containers we were planning to sell that year would give the equivalent CO2 emissions. And I have to think a bit back of 1,000 flights from Amsterdam to New York and back, 70,000 truck rides from the Netherlands to Paris and back. It was organizing a Grand Prix event, doing 15 rocket launches, and eating a few thousand cows all together. And
Wow.
it was really huge, and it was so immense. Because in the production of a new container, there's about 12,000 kilos of CO2 emissions that occur. It was so much together that it really felt like, wow, this does not feel right. And we had a discussion in our team. What do we think about it? And we decided to really focus on used container sales, and really make the choice to stop selling new containers at all. Coming from this analysis,
Hmm.
it just felt like the right thing to do. Now, of course, as a startup, you need to reach a certain scale. So for us, it also meant that the break-even point shifted a bit more on the horizon. So it was a bit more challenging, but at the same time, I really experienced that all the people in the team felt like this is a good thing to do, to really promote the use of used containers.
Hmm.
And this was also giving a clear direction in anything we did. That's a bit about the background. Yeah.
Yeah. How did you handle that tension between the short term profits and trying to get to that break even point, and then the long term sustainability goals that
Yeah.
aren't there? It's a longer horizon, like you said.
Yeah, correct. No, it's of course you hope to see the benefits from making such a choice on the short term, but I also felt realistically that this is not as easy as that. So I think we set our expectancies in a realistic way. What we do see is that a lot of companies working in the field of sustainability, we see them as our customers. And once we contact them just to find out, did this play a role, then we definitely hear that it's, they look at pricing, availability, delivery times, but they also look at this. And
Mm.
I strongly feel that in the near future, we have to change things. So I believe that the more we go into the future, the more this will be just like a normal thing, where people buying containers or buying anything else really are going to take a look at what's the CO2 impact of this.
Mhm.
So I strongly believe that this will be just considered normal in the near future, and slowly we progress in seeing also the benefits from customers choosing. But also, I think the biggest benefit is within our team. I think more and more people, they are looking for a job, not only to make money, but also to have a purpose, to contribute to something, and to contribute to something good. And that's what I really notice with the people in our team, that when they choose to work for Eveon, yeah, this sustainability part is really important, to attract the right people. So
Mhm.
there it pays off already. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's kind of dive into that a bit more. What do you see the benefits both the tangible and the intangible of really embracing sustainability in your business operations.
Yeah, no, it's in many factors. So one is the choice to focus on used containers and to promote the use of used containers. So that's one thing. The other thing is that if you look at containers, how this works, the owners of the big used container fleets, those are typically shipping lines and container leasing companies. And containers get used on ships that travel the world. And for instance, if you look at the US, they enter the country in a port like Long Beach. Then they go inland and they get unloaded and the container becomes available. But what happens is that a lot of containers are actually moving around empty. Because, for instance, let's say there's a container going inland into the US. It gets unloaded, then an empty container is trucked back to the port. Often they're loaded empty on a ship and they go back to China to be loaded again. Mm-hmm. And there's always a part of their fleet they want to sell off. So instead of making these containers end up in a port and being transported empty unnecessarily, we using e-commerce and using data and more advanced technologies, we can easily sell those containers inland at the place where they become available. Now, this also saves a lot of unnecessary trucking miles for moving empty containers back. And the other thing, if you look at the pricing of containers, you will see that prices are very different. If you look at a container in Newark or Long Beach, it's much cheaper than a container in, let's say, Salt Lake City or Phoenix. So the value of a container inland is also higher. So I think this is a really nice way to combine a sustainable goal and an economical goal. Because if we get those containers inland, we can sell them at a higher price. The owner of the container fleet will get a better price for their container. And we avoid unnecessary trucking of empty containers through the country. So I think these are important areas where we can make a difference.
Yeah. Very cool. What advice would you give to startups or smaller companies that they want to prioritize sustainability, but maybe feel constrained by the limited resources that they have at their disposal?
I would say, of course, you really have to make sure that as a startup that you're moving on plan, and you have to be economically healthy to do good on other areas. So I think always prioritize the financial health of your company first. That this is important. But at some point, if you see that the trends are positive and you're growing into the right direction, I think I think the world as we know it will change in a big way in the near future because of things like climate change. I understand there was a big heat wave in the US lately. Here in Europe, we see big changes in the weather, in the climate. And you also see companies everywhere in the world anticipating on sustainability becoming more important. So I would even advise try to put it in the core of your business model, because it might be something special right now. I think it will be just being a normal thing in the near future. Things need to change, and you see change happening rapidly everywhere. I would say prioritize your financial, economical health first, but as soon as you can, pay some attention to sustainability. Maybe an example, we are, after making this choice to really focus on used containers only, we also wanted to become a B Corp certified company. I'm not sure if you know B Corp as a certification methodology. I would have wished that we could have done it already last year, go through the application process. But in a realistic way, it didn't feel right. There were other priorities that were important to make sure that we were on the right growth path. But right now we are working on this certification. That feels good. So this is an example where we also delayed something because about a year ago, it was not justified to put the resources on that. Yeah, so you have to balance it a bit, and well, you first need to take care for your own company. It needs to be financially stable. Then you can do good for others and other causes. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I like the intentionality behind the strategy that you guys are implementing there, and being really thoughtful of when is the right time to make a move, and what does that look like, and
yeah.
really
Thank you. Yeah,
taking the time to think through that, and have the core values, have your core principles, but and then be very strategic and intentional.
yeah,
I see a lot of companies that they might have their core values, but they don't. It's hard to take the time to sit down and really think strategically, because there's so much incoming, and construction firms are adapting on the fly all the time,
oh yeah,
that it's hard to take that time
yeah,
out to think strategically. How do you guys manage that balance?
yeah. Yeah, to be honest, as a startup, a lot of things also need to be done hands-on. So,
You're right.
well, to be honest, I would love to spend a bit more time and energy on the strategic part. Unfortunately, that's quite limited. Things need to get done, and that
Sure.
comes first. So I think what's good, what we try to do with our management team is every few months take like a day in different location to really take the time that day to focus on thinking more ahead,
Mm.
discussing strategy with each other. What should the focus be? Do we have the right focus? Should we adjust things? So we try to take some time with the management team to do that. Yeah, and also try to force myself at some moments to write out what I have in mind, what the vision is, to share it
Mm.
with people. But I always feel that I spend too little time on that. I should do better there. I keep longing to do more on that, but yeah, the reality
Join the club. I
this
get
is
it.
we're struggling with that. I think everybody. So
Yeah.
it gets so easily in a squeeze. There's so much that needs to be done. So
Yeah.
so that's the challenge. It's a continuous challenge. I think you never get it right. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's pivot a bit. A few minutes ago, you mentioned about you guys really embracing the technology aspect of it. I know also having the human touch is important to you. So
yeah,
in a world that's really changing very quickly and advancing on the technology front, what strategies do you guys use to ensure that the human element isn't lost in what you do, and how do you determine which processes in your company are right for automation and which ones need to remain more hands-on involvement?
yeah. No, that's a good question. Well, first of all, we made kind of a booklet about our culture. It's called 25 feet. 25 feet container we do not sell, but it's the 25 principles, and we try to think ahead about what are the most important principles we want to build our business on, and
Mm.
also that should determine our culture.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the container market, it's a very old-fashioned market where a lot of companies still work like if it's 1990 or so. It's very opaque, so things are not transparent. And of course, this is where we want to make a change. And it sounds very simple, but by actually publishing prices up front and showing volume discounts, well, in most businesses that's kind of normal, but in the container business it's not. So we had to take into account that this market is not used to e-commerce, more digital ways of working. So
Mm.
we felt it's important to take into account that in some markets, people are not so easy at just buying something online, a container online in this case. So we feel we should connect, be able to connect with people. So and we also thought let's make sure that we try to make the website as easy as possible so that people can order there. But there's always we always want to offer a human channel, so someone can pick up the phone and talk to a person, ask questions, ask for assistance, um, to really make sure that we do not force a digital automated way of working on a market that is not ready for that. And so it seemed as a logical thing to take the human factor into account.
Mm-hmm.
And what I also noticed within our team is that scalability is really important. So we want to, if we get an order in, everything is handled automatically. But of course, people easily start to fear that by automating, do I lose my job or not? So there we also try to make clear to the people in the team that doing repeated manual tasks, as soon as that happens, let's talk with each other and see, hey, is this worth automating? But I also want to make clear to people that this is really not about firing people or things like that. So this digital but human, I think, is also the approach for us internally to make sure that people feel safe, that they're in a safe environment where we can discuss opportunities to work more efficiently. Towards our customers to offer also a traditional channel where they just can pick up the phone and talk with someone. And also, if you look at our trucking partners, they are really important for us. What we also know is that the trucker that delivers the container, if it's a grumpy guy who tears up the garden when he delivers the container, then our Trustpilot ratings would go down hard. So in order to score high on NPS, we also need to make sure that our trucking partners are happy. So the way we treat them, I think for us, they are like customers. So if you think about, we know from these trucking partners, they get pressured a lot. For instance, on payment terms, so they get paid late. They often get discussions about costs, even long after they did the job. So we said, no, let's not have late payment terms. Let's pay them in 7 days. So we really want to make sure that we are the favorite company to work with. It will make the truckers happy. If the truckers are happy, our customers will be happy. And this is the whole philosophy in the company. Only if our partners are happy or employees are happy, then we can make our customers happy. So I'm really proud. If you look at our Trustpilot score, it's really high. And if you look at the reviews there, you can see that it's always about the people that they spoke with on our customer service team, or the people that were delivering the container. So this human element, I think it's really important. That's where you make the difference in the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that prioritization for sure. So in a market that as you said, is not necessarily used to automation, how do you gauge that customer feedback on the balance between how heavy to push the gas pedal down on the automation versus the human touch in all your service and products? Well, you mentioned the NPS, but are you doing other things to really get that incoming feedback loop?
Yeah. Now, of course, what we try to do is, we encourage customers to share reviews. So this is an important source. And we do our own NPS research as well. So after there has been customer contact, we reach out to customers to understand were they satisfied with the solution? How was the contact? How are they scoring us? NPS is important to us. And on specific topics, we also sometimes reach out to customers just to understand if they like certain solutions or not. So really trying to check with them what do they prefer. So on some pages on our site, you will see feedback pop-ups coming up where we ask their opinion on stuff. So we try to do that as good as possible. It's always easy to say you're customer centric. I think it's never enough, but we try to do our best there. This is really valuable, and also for the team. If Trustpilot reviews come in, it really feels like a present that makes people happy. So we have screens in our office, and you can see the latest reviews coming in. And sometimes there's, of course, we are not perfect, so sometimes something goes wrong. And then we also see that review coming in. That kind of hurts. So that's really where I think all the people in the team are triggered to think about, okay, what happened here? How can we avoid it? What can we do to find a solution for this customer still? So I think this is quite good into the, how do you say, in our DNA. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. You brought up something a couple minutes ago that is interesting and comes up a lot when we talk about the automation and bringing more technology into industries that typically haven't had a ton of it, like construction. How do you train and prepare your staff for the technological changes while reassuring them that they are irreplaceable, that the technology is not coming in to take over their job? It's not threatening. It's complementary, and it's going to help really enhance their job.
Yeah. I think well, we had the advantage, of course, that we are like a greenfield startup. So everybody that joined understood that we are really about data, automation, scalability. So I think the people joining Eveon knew that they were stepping into like a highly automated operations model. So that's kind of easier than if you're an established company. You have had your own way of working the last 20 years or so, and then you want to make a change. So that's quite a challenge. What I would like to, well, if we make changes, I always, as the CEO of the company, reassure people that that I want them to see like the leaders or the conductors of the process instead of the executors of the process, and that I want people to improve processes continuously. And the more we automate it, the more fun the job gets. So the job can change. We had some people doing some manual tasks, but I think they also all experience as those tasks get automated. They are getting a headspace to think about more improvements, or thinking ahead, or connecting better with other teams in our company. So I think by making them aware that that the content of their job might shift a little bit, but basically it goes to a somewhat higher level in terms of being a conductor of a process. I think if you explain that well, then people feel confident with it, and you have to take small steps. I think this is important. I would really advise take small steps, let people experience that it's actually great, because maybe some of the boring work disappears, and try to help them to look at their job in a somewhat different way, to see more opportunities to improve. I think that helps a lot.
More than agree. Regular listens will know that I say a lot that bringing in automation and AI coming in is not threatening. It takes away kind of that mundane part of your job and allows you the ability to get more creative, get more strategic. It frees up some of that headspace to really think and do really fun, creative stuff, which I find exciting.
Yeah, and I think also Todd, that it's really also to the leadership in a company to communicate about this, to make people feel comfortable, instead of just pushing a change process through the company. The communication part is really important. So I think CEOs and leaders, they need to step in and talk with the people, explain what the vision is. This is more than half of the solution, I think.
And have a continuous communication line instead of just it's not a one-off conversation. It's an ongoing conversation to remind and reinforce and totally hype up and encourage.
Totally agree with you.
So one of the main tenets of our show here is around innovation. So with that, what does innovation mean to you?
Well, innovation, there's so much going on the technology side, and there's quite a few topics that we are looking into. So I think we are quite advanced in the data field. There we are looking at algorithms, applying algorithms, for instance, for pricing. So we're running a pilot at the moment in that area. And this is really taking you to another level, but also in the process of using data to build an algorithm, and then seeing the feedback coming back and understanding the implications of it. Yeah, you learn a lot, and you also start to see the impact of this. Now, for instance, I think it's always important if a customer, and now the human aspect comes back again. So if there's a black box algorithm that produces an outcome like a price at a certain moment for a container in a certain area, then I find it really important that the people in my team still understand and can explain the background of that outcome. Because if we cannot explain that, then we can also not explain it and communicate clearly with our customers. And then people see things happening where they really don't have a clue about it. So also thinking about how to combine the human element with the technology. This is really interesting. So we're in the process there of finding out a lot of new things, but also in the process of understanding like how far do we want to go. Because we still need to understand to a certain level what's going on here, why certain outcomes are produced, and how we can communicate about that. So this human factor that comes along, might be in the end be even more complicated and more limiting than the technology itself. So this I find important to balance out with each other. And not go full flesh into everything that technology can bring, but really understand like, okay, this can go really far. How far do we want to go right now? And how do we combine this with the human elements in doing business? So this is, there's also, if you look at, of course, AI, chatbots, that's a really interesting technology. So also in that area, we are thinking about the possibilities, exploring some first steps. So I think also there, being able to give the right answers to customers that have a question in the middle of the night, or in the weekend, of course that's great. This is also an area that we're really interested in. So those are some of the topics we are looking at. But also there, we want to set small steps in going forward in those areas.
Very interesting. I love the how far do you want to go on the technology and on the human process side, because you're right. The human side is probably definitely more complex than the technology automation side. In a good way, we need it. How do people find out more information and connect with you?
With me? Well, if you go to our website, eveoncontainers.com, you can find, you can also find me if you go to the About section. This is one of the principles of staying human. My phone number is on there, and you can send me an email. And this is one of the things I really like to do. Also, when customers are sending messages, every morning I start with looking at messages, emails that came in the last day. And I tend to contact some of the customers, even while we have a great customer service team, if I feel that something didn't go so well or something might need some more attention. I always start to step in every now and then, also with our truckers. So I like to be in touch with our customers, with our partners, with everyone. So feel free to contact me. And actually, Todd, because your audience is mostly in the construction business, eh?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. We have in our office we have a great book. It's called the Container Atlas, and it's filled with really nice projects of containers being used in construction projects. So I think my colleague Phil might have sent you 5 already.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are.
For the first 5 listeners that are interested in the book, it's really interesting. I think if they contact you, Todd, you can send the first 5 ones one of those books.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. We'll have a link in the show notes and everything as well too, that they can fill out a form and shoot it all over. So looking forward to that for
Yeah,
sure. It's a really cool looking
sounds
book
good.
there. I
Yeah,
love it. I love all the creative ideas and concepts.
yeah, really nice, really nice. So
Yeah. Thanks for doing that for the listeners.
yeah,
It's
you're
very
welcome.
cool. Very
Yeah.
awesome. Well, final question for you. If I could give you all power and you could snap your fingers and innovate one thing in the industry, what would you pick to innovate?
Oh, wow, that's well, and then I would think in the whole value chain. I think where if you I was explaining that most of the containers are owned by shipping lines and leasing companies. If you look at the way those companies operate, I think they are really having a tough time on the digital innovation. So if I could snap my fingers and make a wish, I would wish that those people in the value chain, that they would already have succeeded in taking a lot of more steps forward in digital innovation. That would create a lot of more, I think, a lot more transparency in the market, a lot more possibilities, also a lot more possibilities to reduce CO2 emissions together. So if I could make a wish, I would wish that a change would happen in that side of the value chain. Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
great. I would love that. I would love that. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. That's a good one. That's a good one. We'll snap and make it happen.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I like that.
Well, thanks
Yeah.
so much for taking the time and joining the show today.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for having me.